Dr. T, Tucson Functional Medicine. I want to welcome to our webinar today. We're going to talk about what's on the top of everybody's mind in America, the COVID virus, the coronavirus, COVID-19. We're going to approach this from a little bit of a different perspective today. We're going to approach it from a functional medicine perspective, things that we know that work for viruses and help people ward off viruses and things like that. And then the second thing we're going to talk about is what you can do to prepare for future pandemics or future flu seasons or any of the viruses and things like that. So this is going to be our goal today. So let me share my screen with you. So this is my information. The great thing about the coronavirus actually is it's really raised the awareness of telemed. Functional medicine world's been using telemed for many years, but it's really not been well known because the regular medical world hasn't really used it. Well, the coronavirus has really brought this to the forefront. It's really brought to the forefront that you do not have to be sitting in the same room as your doctor. So, I am Dr. T, Tucson Functional Medicine. Today we're going to talk about the COVID-19, the coronavirus. So that's my address. We have patients all over the world, all over the United States. You do not have to live in Tucson to be a patient of Tucson Functional Medicine. We use Zoom, just like we're doing for this webinar right now. So 60% of Americans have a chronic disease. So people are wasting more and more time in doctors' waiting rooms. Tucson Functional Medicine offers customized health plans to get to the cause of your health concerns. So you can spend less time in waiting rooms and more time enjoying your health and the quality of life that you deserve. It's really our medical system and our understanding of medical problems that has created the susceptibility of the coronavirus. We have a system that waits until you get the disease before they respond. So I had a patient and she had the Helicobacter pylori, the bacterial infection that causes about 80% of ulcers. And we tested her and she had it, and she was going to go to her medical doctor to get treatment because you can do it either with an antibiotic or you can do it with a natural source. And so she opted to do it with the antibiotic. So she contacted her medical doctor. And she was told, I don't know if this happens for all doctors, but this is what she was told by her doctor, that they had to do an endoscopy. So they had to put the scope down the throat and look at the stomach. And then the insurance would only pay for treatment if the H. pylori bacterial infection had caused an ulcer. So if it hadn't caused the ulcer, they wouldn't treat it. It's the same way with blood sugar. If your blood sugar is 99, the insurance won't actually start paying until you have diabetes, and that has to be over 100. So we have a system that waits for diseases and waits for issues to happen, and that has made us much more susceptible to this coronavirus, as we're going to talk about. So why are you here today? This workshop is for people who want to get through this pandemic. We all want to get through this. That's the whole first part of this webinar today. Get practical and sustainable health habits. This is truly the secret of preventing your susceptibility to this pandemic, the flu season, and any future pandemics. Uncover the root causes of being susceptible to prepare for the next pandemic that will inevitably happen. So by the end of this webinar, you'll discover things that functional medicine knows are helping in dealing with the COVID-19 or any virus for that matter. Will another pandemic happen? Why the conventional approach is not working. And it's working, but it's just not enough. And it's because they wait for it to happen before they respond to it. In the functional medicine world, we want to prepare you so that when it does happen, you are more ready and you can fight it off better, and a proven strategy for long-term health and protection from future pandemics. So the workshop's broken down into two parts. What can we do to get through this current COVID-19 pandemic with as little damage as possible? And the second part is how can we prepare for future pandemics? So part one, let's get through this with as little stress as possible. So coping with COVID-19. Now, we're not going to go over the very basic things that you hear from everybody if you turn your TV on. Wearing a mask, social distancing. If somebody has, they're coughing and sneezing, stay away from them and stuff like that. So we're not going to deal with that kind of stuff. If you don't know that, you've been living under a rock. I mean, this has been everywhere. It's been so hyped. And so it's been all over the place. And it's part of what makes this so difficult. They say, oh, well, listen to the science. Well, which doctor do you listen to? There's a bunch of doctors that are saying X. There's a bunch of doctors that are saying Y. There's a bunch of doctors that are saying Z. And so there is no consensus about this. I just heard some doctors on the internet just the other day talking about how the ventilators are one of the worst things that we can actually do to treat patients. I hear other doctors saying that the ventilators, we must have them. And so it's become very, very confusing with all the misinformation out there. And so what we're going to deal with is not listening to any of that stuff. Let's deal with the hard, true facts of what we know will help you. And help you personally, because that's the only person that you can really deal with anyway. So everybody copes differently with crisis. So this girl right here, she's going to eat. I heard a thing where the relapses from alcoholism and drug addiction are going through the roof. Domestic abuse cases are going through the roof. Child abuse cases are going through the roof. Suicides. We have a big surge in suicide. So everybody deals and copes with this thing differently. And I think so much of it is this hopelessness. We don't know what to believe. Everybody's saying something different. It just seems like there's nothing that we can do to prepare ourselves and protect ourselves from this. And this is not true. What we need to do is learn the things that we can do personally to aid and help us, not only with the current pandemic, but also with the future. So we're going to talk about physical care. Okay, that's really what we're going to talk about from our perception. So according to the World Health Organization, what are the signs and symptoms of the COVID-19? So a fever, fatigue, sore throat, shortness of breath, dry cough, pneumonia, severe acute respiratory syndrome, kidney failure. So these are the accepted signs and symptoms of the coronavirus. So tip number one, wash your hands. Frequently washing your hands with soap and water. Also to be sure to cover your mouth and nose when coughing and sneezing and avoid close contact with anyone exhibiting symptoms of cold. This is wear the mask, 6 feet distance, stuff like this. So we're not going to go into any detail, but we do not wash our hands enough in this country, okay? We have the flu season that we're going to talk about here in the future of this webinar, and we never really take this stuff seriously, and we need to start taking it serious. This coronavirus can be a gift to us, and we'll talk about that as we go. So tip two, address diabetes and hypertension. To beat COVID-19, one of your best strategies is to get your underlying chronic conditions under control. Even diabetes, high blood pressure can often be reversed via healthy diet and lifestyle. So this is the functional medicine secret. The traditional medical model reacts to diabetes and reacts to hypertension. Diabetes, they give you blood sugar, tell you to watch your diet. Hypertension, they give you a drug to lower your blood pressure. But functional medicine asks the question, why do you have diabetes? Why do you have the hypertension? And deals with it from a cause perspective of getting back to what's actually causing these problems. And it's probably the fatal flaw of our insurance system in America is insurance really doesn't do anything until you already have the disease. So we're already chasing our tail with our basic philosophy. Boost the immunity with nutrients. As for prevention, we're going to talk about this a lot later on in the talk here. Nutrition plays a crucial role, and several nutrients are known for their immune boosting properties and ability to ward against viral infections. There are several nutrients available in supplement form that may be of particular benefit for COVID-19. This is the only one that I have almost universally heard. Vitamin D, right? We know vitamin D helps lungs and anything, illnesses and that kind of a thing, but this is the only one. And in the PDF attachments that we're going to send you the link to, we've got a list of all the foods that are high in vitamin D, but there's some new research, maybe in the last 5 years or so, that is saying that you can't absorb vitamin D without K. And so we also give you, one of the PDFs has a link. The supplement that we suggest for vitamin D is from a company called Designs for Health, and we give you the link in there that you can go and purchase it, so that you can get everything that you need to make sure that you're getting your vitamin D. It's called Omega Avail Ultra with D3, K1, and K2. And this gives you everything that you need to actually absorb. We have people that have been on D3 for decades and their D3 is still low. Well, now we know one of the biggest reasons why is because of K. We must have K. So research shows high doses of vitamin D supplementation lowers the risk of respiratory illnesses and lung infections in the elderly by 40%. I recommend boosting your immune system with regular, sensible, controlled sun exposure, and when unable to do that, taking oral vitamin D3. Now, I don't recommend that you just go out and do this on your own. I recommend that you get together specifically with a functional medicine doctor and plan your levels of vitamin D. When I used to live up in Oregon, and when I first moved up there, they were having horrible suicide problems and stuff like that. And they attributed to SAD, that seasonal affective disorder, because it's always gray up there. People just don't get a lot of sun. So doctors were recommending tanning booths. So there's two things in the Pacific Northwest that are like religion up there. You can go to every street corner and you can find a little kiosk for coffee, and you can find tanning booths. Tanning booths are everywhere. And then after I'd been up there about 10 years, they did a, how are we doing with this tanning booth thing? And they found that they had these huge surges in melanoma skin cancer. So we just kind of traded one problem for the other. And here in Arizona, we do not have a problem with the sun. Okay, we got sun everywhere. And this is where we need to be: sensibly controlled sun exposure. Okay. And again, deal with it. If you don't know what that is, get together with a functional medicine doctor and we'll help you understand. So much of it depends upon your genetics. My wife is Scotch Irish. She passes by the window with the sun coming in and she gets burned. That's how susceptible she is. So her levels of sensible controlled sun exposure would be much different from somebody else's. So you need to be smart about this thing. Don't just go and take a ton of vitamin D because, oh, vitamin D helps, and don't go out there and I'm going to sunbathe for the next 9 hours, which will help me to prevent the COVID virus. Don't do that, please. Hear me, don't do that. So tip 5, vitamin C is vital. Vitamin C has two major functions that help explain its potent health benefits. First, it acts as a powerful antioxidant. It also acts as a cofactor for enzymatic processes. Quercetin supplements can also be helpful. That's what we'll talk about in tip 6. Quercetin. It may offer benefits as a treatment for SARS coronavirus infections. Quercetin offers great promise as a potential supplement in the clinical treatment of SARS. Reversitol is another antioxidant that could be useful. It may be shown to inhibit the MERS-CoV infection, at least in vitro. So understand that none of this has been directly tested against the COVID-19 virus, but the virus is a virus, and all viruses are susceptible to certain supplements, certain lifestyle changes, things like that. And that's really what we're talking about here. Plenty of sleep. Research shows that the microbiota, that microbiome in your gut, is under the circadian control, which means disruptions in sleep can affect the composition and health of your microbiome. So in our programs in here, we deal with digestion, and the circadian rhythm is sun up and sun down. Okay. And so that's how our body clock is actually built, is to work when the sun comes up and the sun goes down, different things are happening. Well, the microbiome, we have a 3-step process for dealing with the gut. First thing that we have to do is heal the leaky gut. If you got holes in your gut, how I kind of describe it is it's like a garden hose where I take an ice pick. I got these holes. And so stuff can leak out, water can leak out of the hose if it's a hose. Well, the same thing happens in your digestive system. If we have holes in the digestive system, foods are leaking out and digestion process is impaired. The second part is we have to kill the bugs that are in there that shouldn't be there, right? We have some bugs that are there and they're supposed to be there. That's what the microbiome is. It's a balance of this bacteria. So everything is working well. Well, that lady I was telling you about earlier that had Helicobacter pylori, we call it H. pylori, that's something we're not supposed to have in there. So if we have bugs in our digestive system that shouldn't be there, we've got to kill those. So the first step, heal the holes, seal the holes. Second step, kill the bugs that aren't supposed to be there at all. And then the third step is build the microbiome. And this is where sleep can come in. Sleep can play a key part in building the microbiome. So what we do, a lot of people do, is they run out and they buy probiotics and prebiotics and all this kind of stuff. And I'm not against that, but they have leaky gut. They have all kinds of bacteria in there that shouldn't be in there. So what we're doing is starting with step 3 and never doing step 1 and step 2, and we're never going to get the kind of results that we want. That's where functional medicine plays such a key part. We have tests. We can actually test and see if you have leaky gut. We have tests that actually show us the bacteria that's supposed to be in there, the microbiome. Is it balanced? Is some too high, some too low? And then what is in there that shouldn't be in there to start with? That H. pylori or, whatever. There's a lot of bugs that shouldn't be in our digestive tract at all. So tip 8, adequate sunshine. We talked about this one a little bit back with the vitamin D, and this is where we need to be smart, like my wife, being Scotch Irish. Her protection from the sun is much lower than somebody like myself who lived in Arizona basically my entire life. I grew up here. But vitamin D from sun exposure increases your body's production of naturally occurring antimicrobial peptides that destroy the cell walls of viruses and bacteria. There is no substitute to getting out of your house. Go spend time in nature. Spend time in the sun. Smartly, don't be stupid about this, but spend time out there. Exercise helps. Tip 9, look at that. Exercise boosts immunity. Research published in journals has highlighted the importance of exercise for everybody, but this article was about older adults, noting the positive effects it can have on their immune system. So again, what are we talking about? Our immune system is what is going to prepare us for dealing with any virus, and this COVID-19 is a virus, okay? Stay hydrated, water. There's a great book. I believe the guy who wrote it, he's a medical doctor, and he's from Iran, I believe. And his last name is about 7,421 characters long. I don't even try to pronounce it. The book is excellent. He did a wonderful job at writing this book, and the book is called The Body's Many Cries for Water. And according to him, most human beings on the surface of the earth are dehydrated. Okay, so drinking adequate water is vital for proper hydration, flushing toxins in the body, and contributing to an improved immune system. If we're flushing toxins out, we're hydrating the cells, everything can work better. Again, what are we doing? We're building the immune system. This is something that is so important that never really gets talked about. We can't change the coronavirus. We can't change a lot of things that happen to us in life, but we can change our perception of those things that happen to us. So let me give you an example in my own life. When the coronavirus happened, nobody planned it, right? Nobody thought, hey, starting in the end of 2019, we're going to have this pandemic that's going to affect the whole world. And nobody planned this. But I noticed that I was missing some things. There were some things that I didn't have. I wasn't prepared in certain ways. So I took out a piece of paper and I wrote down what did I have well and was good? What did I have that I didn't need? What did I not have? And I just started writing this list out. And when life gets more back to normal, which it will, then I'm going to make sure that I have those things that I was deficient in. So I'm looking at the coronavirus. I'm not taking it lightly by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm looking at it as a preparation, a way to teach me the things that were deficient in my life, the things that were not moving in the right direction and that I didn't have, you know? I mean, we're talking about toilet paper here in a little while. And, did you have enough toilet paper? Did you have enough hand sanitizer? Here's an example. I have all these camping lanterns, in case the electricity goes out and stuff like this, but I didn't have any of those canisters of propane. So what good are the camping lanterns if you don't have any propane? They're not. So that was one of the things that went on my list. I mean, we didn't lose our electricity in this, but what if it had of, and I would have had all these lanterns, but I wouldn't have the propane. So I just took a piece of paper and I started writing it. I'm very grateful that the coronavirus, I can use it as a teaching thing. I can learn things from it, and you can too. We must change our perspective of the thing that happens to us. And I view the coronavirus as a gift to prepare myself personally, my patients, my house, to be better prepared for any future pandemic. We're going to talk about pandemics here in a little bit, and you'll be so amazed. I mean, I didn't even come close to listing all the pandemics. There's just unbelievable amounts of pandemics that have been going on. So in the PDFs is going to be a lot of resources that I use to prepare this. A lot of stuff we didn't have an opportunity to go over because there's just not enough time, okay? We only have an hour to do this, and so we just don't have it. So I listed all the resources that we use. It's in a PDF. They're all hyperlinked. So if you use them on your computer, you can just click them and it'll take you to the references that we used. So this is really what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to give you some tools and some techniques and some thoughts about what we can do for the current pandemic. But the real secret of this pandemic is to prepare you for future pandemics. They're going to happen. There's no question about it. Are you ready? Okay. So this is really what we're going to talk about. This is what I wanted to spend most of the time talking about. So what we must do is begin with the end in mind. Now, this is the first, in my life anyway, this is the first huge pandemic that we have had in this country that has really altered the way that we're living, and everybody stayed home and all that kind of stuff. So what we need to do is, it's not like this isn't going to happen in the future. So let's begin with the end in mind, right? So the next time a pandemic happens, how do I want to be ready? I want to have a great immune system. I want to be very healthy. I want to know the chances of getting it are very low. The statistics show that as much as 50% of the people that get the coronavirus will never actually know that they had it. That's the group I want to be in. I want to be in the ones that, even if I do get it, my immune system stomps it to death. I never even know that it was in my body at all. So I want to know that. I want to be energetic, right? I want to be motivated, that I know I'm prepared and I'm ready, whatever comes down the tubes. I want to be calm. I don't want to be all stressed out. I don't want to be panicking about this kind of stuff. And I want to be confident that I have spent the effort, the time, and the commitment to being ready for any virus, any pandemic that comes down the tubes. We can never prepare for everything. But it's amazing, if 60% of Americans have a chronic disease, we're not taking our health serious until we get in trouble. And that's our biggest problem for this pandemic. We weren't ready. Our health was not good. We have all these chronic diseases, and which makes us more susceptible to any virus that comes down the tubes. This time we're talking about COVID-19. So what is the current state? I mean, turn the TV on and you will see people are afraid. People are worried. People are tired. They're exhausted from all this stuff. People are confused. This has been the biggest thing that I've noticed about this coronavirus is you can't get a straight answer about anything. You watch this group and they're saying, oh, life will never return to the way it was before. There are people out there that don't believe this coronavirus is real at all. They just believe this is a big conspiracy theory. Well, that's crazy. We have other people that believe this is the worst pandemic in the history of all mankind. Well, that's crazy too. We're going to show you some pandemics here in a few minutes. And there were some big ones. I mean, some huge ones. And so there's so much confusion. I listened to 3 doctors from the CDC, and it was like they didn't even talk about the same thing. This doctor was saying this doctor was saying that, and then we have all these people saying, well, you got to listen to the science. Well, what science do you listen to? It's unbelievable how much confusion and misinformation there is about this. So again, what we have to get back to is I can't rely upon other people and these organizations going to take care of me. This is another one of our problems. When I was a kid, I grew up in Sierra Vista. And when I was a kid, if you wanted a fence, you went, you bought the stuff, you came home, you built your fence. But in America now, we rarely do that. We have become a nation that relies upon others to solve our problems. So if I need a fence, I call Mike's Fence Company and they come out and build the fence. And I'm not against that, but we've done that with our health also. So who's responsible for our health? Well, it's the AMA and the FDA and it's the CDC and it's my Dr. Jones, my primary care physician, and it's the pharmaceutical company. And none of these people are responsible for your health. The only person responsible for your health is you. Now use those, they're tools. I'm not against any of those tools, but we need to take personal responsibility. And if there's one thing that we should take personal responsibility of, it's our health. People are stressed out. They're frustrated. We're starting to see this with, people being at home at the beginning. It was fun, man. I get a free vacation and stuff like this. Now people are just frustrated. They're like watching their jobs go away. They're watching, America be ground to a halt. And it's just, there's so much frustration out there. It's a roller coaster, right? One day I feel good. The next day I feel horrible. And it's just all over the map. The biggest one, people panicked. Okay. Try to find hand sanitizer. Try to find toilet paper. People panicked. So it's really it's just an interesting study in where we are as Americans. But the real question is, if I want the desired state of all these things over there, and I have the current state of where we are, how am I going to move from the current state to the desired state? The worst thing is panic. We saw this a lot. But the worst thing is panic. Here's going to be a video, kind of cute. It's poking fun at the whole panic thing and stuff like that. We need to have some fun.
Hi, I'm a medical doctor, and it's come to my attention that some people have been hoarding toilet paper in an effort to fight coronavirus. Great idea! Panicking is a solid and proven method of prevention. But now you've got all this toilet paper, and you're asking yourself, exactly is this going to help me ward off coronavirus? Maybe we should have asked ourselves this a little bit earlier, but we couldn't because we were panicking. So I've got you covered. Today I'm going to show you how to make a corona-proof isolation hut, a toilet paper bunker. I'll show you one that I've just got to put the finishing touches on. As you can see, I've gone for 3 walls and a roof. The main thing you need to think about is leaving a cavity inside big enough for yourself to be comfortable in, because this is your new home. Some people have asked, I've purchased 2-ply toilet paper. Will that be as effective in warding off coronavirus as 3-ply? Are you kidding me? Do you want coronavirus? No, science has shown us that 3-ply is the minimum thickness we need to keep the virus out. How does the toilet paper wall actually work? Well, pretend that this roll is the coronavirus, and it comes along like this. Once it reaches the actual wall, it can't get through. Well, the actual virus won't push that hard, so in the real world, it's very safe. If you were lucky enough to score yourself some hand sanitizer as well, you can build yourself a corona-proof barrier around your hut. When the virus comes to the barrier, it's like, oh, this guy's not mucking around. No deal here. So there you have it. You've constructed your very own coronavirus bunker, faster than China can build a hospital in Wuhan.
Did you notice that he was saying, well, science shows and science this and research is proven? And this is what we're hearing a lot of out there. We're hearing a lot of people, well, I'm going to listen to the CDC because they're the experts on this. But the problem is, if you listen to different doctors within the CDC, they're all saying different things. I mean, it's really confusing, but that was just fun to have a little bit of fun here. But this is true. When the Spanish flu hit in the United States in 1918 to 1919, there was a theory out there that Vicks Vapor Rub could prevent you from dying from the Spanish flu. So the Vicks Vapor Rub sales skyrocketed. Now this is 1918, from $900,000 to $2.9 million in 1 year. Sales increased so dramatically that the Vicks plant had to operate day and night to keep up with the orders. And this is because people are panicking and they're scared. And when they're scared, they latch on every little thing that comes down the tubes. I mean, here in Arizona, we had some people in Phoenix, I don't remember how many, but somebody said that one of the chemicals in their fish tank filter system helped about the coronavirus. Well, they drank it or ate it or whatever they did, and they died. And this is kind of this whole vapor rub. People are looking for anything that will give them an advantage. And there's only one thing that's going to give you an advantage, and that isn't Vicks Vapor Rub or any of that kind of stuff. It is a strong immune system. So are there going to be future pandemics? So I did a little bit of research. I was stunned. Now, I only pulled out a little bit, but I went way back into BC times to show that pandemics are not abnormal. So this went all the way back to 430. Now, I'm not going to read all these to you, but I mean, here in 1350, the Black Death, the plague, killed 1/3 of the world's population, right? And so it just goes on and on and on about all these different plagues and things happen. You know, 16th and 17th centuries, 56 million Native Americans were killed because of these diseases that were brought over that they didn't have. So here's some more. Now, we were talking about the Vicks Vapor Rub. So right here, 1918 Spanish flu killed hundreds of thousands of Americans died. It lasted until 1919 before it finally died out, killing somewhere between 50 to 100 million people worldwide. So, and again, I put 50 to 100 because some research says it was 80 and some say, no, it was 100. And so again, we don't know absolutely positive, but it killed a lot of people, right? In 1981, HIV and AIDS, 35 million people died just in 1981 from AIDS, right? So H1N1, Ebola, Zika, SARS, the 2019 COVID, malaria has been stalking humans for thousands of years, and it still kills 500,000 people each year. Now, we don't take it that serious in this country because it doesn't really kill many people from America. So what does this tell us? It tells us pandemics have been going on from the entire human history, the entire time of human history. This isn't unique. And pandemics are almost always viruses. A virus gets away, it starts being passed around. And in America, or in the world today, if you look at that, the Spanish flu of 1918 and 1919, back in those days, if you wanted to go from one country or one continent to another continent, you had to get in a boat, right? It took forever to get across. Well, now we get on an airplane, and 5, 6, 7 hours later, we can be in another continent. And this is why pandemics actually have much more potential for death, because we travel the world like crazy. And so sharing it from one continent to another continent is happening much more readily today just because of our methods of transportation, right? So we know that pandemics have happened. I went all the way back to BC times. I just pulled a few out. There are pages and pages and pages of these pandemics. And so we know they're going to happen. They've happened in the past. They're also going to happen in the future. So what makes us more susceptible to COVID-19 or any future coming pandemic, right? So this is what the CDC says makes us more susceptible to coronavirus. People that are age is 65 or older, people that live in nursing homes, people with chronic lung diseases, people with serious heart conditions, people that are immunocompromised, people that are severely obese, people with diabetes, people with kidney disease that are undergoing dialysis, people with liver disease. Now, I only left one of those in white because this is the only one that you can't control. Your age. You are the age that you are. But all these that we put in red, you have the ability to take personal responsibility for these, make lifestyle changes, and you can be the number one deciding factor of whether you live in a nursing home, chronic lung disease, serious heart conditions, all these things. So again, we're back to taking our health seriously before it becomes, before our health is gone, right? But 60% of Americans, probably more, that graphic at the very beginning was done by the CDC, and it was a few years ago. So it may even be more. I haven't seen a current one, but we have control at least partially on all of these red ones. We have an amazing amount of control over our health. We just as a people choose not to do anything about our health until it's gone. So I was talking to this lady, I don't know, a few years ago, and and she said, "Oh, I can't afford, to do functional medicine because insurance doesn't cover it." And I said, "Well, how about we just reframe this argument? My health is not worth the investment." And nobody would say that, but yet they're walking around with their $1,000 cell phone. They're at home, they have a flat screen TV. So what we're really saying when we don't put health front and center is we're saying, I do not value my health currently enough to allocate resources to it. And then when I have chronic lung disease or heart conditions or whatever, then all of a sudden I get scared. And then I think, oh my gosh, what do I need to do? And I run off to our experts and they put me on a drug and they tell me do this, do that. How about we start looking at health from a proactive point of view? And that's what functional medicine is all about. So what is the one thing that you need to fight the coronavirus or any pandemic and virus? A very strong immune system. Okay? There is no substitute for a very strong immune system. We need to have an immune system that is lethal to the pandemics and lethal to the to any virus, but the coronavirus is what we're talking about today. So let's look at how the coronavirus can be a blessing to us with the right perception. So in total, the CDC estimates that up to 42.9 million people got sick during the 2018-2019 flu season. 647,000 people were hospitalized and 61,200 people died from the flu in the 2018-2019 flu season. But that's fairly on par with a typical season. The CDC estimates in the 2017-2018 flu season, 48.8 million people got it, 959,000 went to hospitals, and 79,400 people died from the flu season. And we never blink about this. And this is an every year thing. Now, this coronavirus, we are freaking out about this thing. And this is a system that happens almost every single year anyway. We just call it the flu. So we need to start looking at viruses. We can use this coronavirus as a springboard to start putting ourselves and our health and our immune system first. Instead of waiting, let's respond to it so we prevent it, okay? So what are we really talking about? What makes a strong immune system? We're talking about lifestyle. We're talking about diet, exercise, sleep, stress control. Now, in the PDF handouts, I give the handout, it's a multiple page handout for each one of these that we actually give out to our functional medicine patients. What are the things of diet that you need to do? You know, do we need to avoid certain things that cause leaky gut, like gluten or different things like this? So in the handout for diet, we go over just diet and what needs to be done to have a strong, good, healthy lifestyle. Exercise, sleep, you need to be asleep between 10 and 2. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. And now the experts are saying that you should eliminate all electronics a minimum of 2 hours before you go to sleep. And most Americans watch TV and then they stumble down the hall and go to sleep. So they watch TV and electronic right up until they go to sleep. And we now know that blue light, which is what electronics emit, stops the conversion of serotonin into melatonin. And that's melatonin is what you need for sleep. And so if we're watching TV or whatever electronic device right up until we go to sleep, we are preventing the body's natural ability to convert serotonin into melatonin. So that's all included in those handouts. Stress control. Most people, stress has become so normal, most people don't even think they're stressed anymore. We have a test that tells us that your level of stress and how your body's responding to stress. But we give you a handout. Each one of these 4 things has their specific handout about what you can do, the changes that you can make to make your lifestyle strong, make it something that builds your immune system, doesn't work against it. Your lifestyle is either moving you towards health or away from health. There's no middle ground, okay? So we give you handouts. Now, I learned something. I can only put 8 PDFs in a file in Dropbox, and that's what we're going to give you the link to is to go get these. So I've had to actually create 2 separate files in Dropbox. So I have webinar COVID-19 PDFs and then PDFs 2. So in the link that you'll get, there'll be 2 links because there were so many handouts that I gave you from this that I went beyond the 8. So we have 1 PDF site that'll give you 8, and then we're going to have another one. So in the links that we'll send you about the PDFs, there's going to be 2 of them, and because there's 2 different separate files for this. So, and I do apologize if you tried to be on last month's webinar, or I mean not last month's, last week's webinar. As you probably heard in the news and everything, Zoom has been having a lot of hacking and security problems and stuff like this. So Zoom did all of these extra security measures, which was great, but I didn't realize that you had to have a password to get into last week's webinar. So I actually was crying because nobody came to my webinar. Well, the reason nobody came is I didn't give you the password. So we rectified that. If you signed up for this, registered for this webinar, I sent numerous emails 3 days before. I sent one yesterday. I sent one this morning. I sent one an hour before. It not only gives you the link to go to it, but it also gave you the password. So I so apologize for that, of not doing that last week. I did not realize that. So in the PDFs, we have a PDF on each one of these things. Lifestyle is the secret to your health. So in the functional medicine world, we operate under the principle that we are here to teach you to need the doctor less. Health doesn't come from you going to the doctor. Health comes from you making the right choices, the right lifestyle choices, day in and day out. You choosing things that support your health, not depreciate or deplete your health, okay? What is it? Less than 1% of Americans exercise. A lot of people tell you they exercise, but according to the real research, there's a formula for exercise. So we don't care what you do for exercise. What we care about is where your heart rate is. Diet, I'm a vegan or have been a vegan, but does vegan work for everybody? No, vegan does not work for everybody. And so it's not so much the diet that you choose, it's the percentages and the type of food that you're eating. It's either supporting your health or depleting your health. Stress control, that's become the biggest thing. And there's many ways to control stress, right? You can meditate. You can do Tai Chi. You can do Qigong. You can do yoga. There's all kinds of things that you can do. What you do is less important than the fact that you have set times every day that you are working at controlling stress. So we give you the actual, brain waves that we're actually looking for through stress control. So there's a handout for each one of these things. If you want to truly prepare for the next pandemic, the next flu season for that matter, we offer a total health program, and I've created a total health program light. And the basis of this entire program is about lifestyle. We go through and teach you the specific things. Why do we hire a personal trainer? Is it because we couldn't go to the gym and do this all ourselves? Well, no, of course not. You could do that. But the point about the whole thing is we hire a personal trainer as an accountability and as an expert to guide me in the things. That's all a functional medicine doctor is. He's just the person to help you in your journey of learning your idiosyncrasies about your health. Everybody's a little different, right? And there is no magic formula to this. We're all looking for that magic formula. We're looking for that one pill that I can take that will make us healthy. There's no such thing. I wish there was. I'd be first in line for it, but there is no such thing. So our total health program and our total health program light, and there's information about both of these in the PDF handouts. I'm going to give you the lifestyle things, but if you would like to take it to the next level, if you would like to truly become a healing machine, super strong immune system that would laugh in the face of next year's flu season and things like that. So this is what we need to do. And sometimes people want help. If you do, there's information in there about that. I do not want to be looking for car insurance after I've had an accident. And that's how so many Americans were, or are, I guess, with this coronavirus. They never gave any of this stuff a thought. Now it's here. Oh my gosh, what do I do? I'm freaking out. I need to be prepared. So this is what we wanted to try to help you understand. So much of you being prepared for the next pandemic, because it is coming, is within your control, right? So will 2020 be the year that you look back and you know this was the start of a new you, the prepared you? You only get one shot at this thing that we call life. Let's take it serious. Let's build a healing machine. Let's build a lifestyle that is moving me towards health, that is moving me away from disease and chronic disease and things like this. The statistics about New Year's resolutions are horrible. And we don't want that to be this. I don't want you to say, no, this year I'm going to take this serious and not do it. It's one of the reasons that we have that total health program and the total health program life is for you to have a systematic step-by-step process and somebody there to help you walk through it so that this doesn't become a New Year's resolution. So what is the number one New Year's resolution forever? And it's been forever. I'm going to get in shape and lose weight. That's number one. It always is. And depends on the research you look at, 90 to 95% of New Year's resolutions have been abandoned by January 12th to January 17th. I also read a statistic I thought was really, really telling. 65 to 70% of people over the age of 60 don't even do New Year's resolutions. And why? Because they've done them, they never came true. I'm just not even going to make them. That way I won't be discouraged and disappointed when I don't. This is what we have to do. We have to make the decision that 2020 is going to be different. I am going to be ready, not only for the current coronavirus, the next year's flu season, but the next pandemic that comes down the tubes, because they're coming. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. So will you be prepared? So I want to thank you for being here, and hopefully we gave you some ideas of things that you can do to actually be better prepared for any virus, but any pandemic. So again, as I say, in the PDF handouts will be a lot of handouts about the stuff that we talked about today. There's a multiple page report on the most common food sources to get vitamin D. We give you that link for the vitamin D with the K so you can make sure that you are absorbing the vitamin D. So I thank you for attending this. Hopefully this has given you some different perspective on the coronavirus and things like that. Everybody's saying the same thing, wear a mask, proper so, and I'm not against any of that stuff at all, but there's a lot of things that I never hear brought up that you can do to help prepare you for any virus. I mean, we happen to be talking about the corona, but the flu season is going to happen in the 2020, 2021 flu season. It's going to happen. And what are we losing? We're losing as many as 80 to 90,000 Americans every single year from the flu. Don't be one of those people. So again, thank you for coming. We will also in our PDF handouts is a flyer for next month's webinar. It's going to be on headaches and migraines and things like that. So again, we also have the 4-step process of working with Tucson Functional Medicine. We want to give that to you. So if you're a person who's just fed up with this, you're tired of constantly dealing with being sick all the time, or I've got diabetes, or I got all these chronic diseases and stuff like this, take personal responsibility. Get together with us. Let's build a strategy that works for you. I don't create you. You create you. What we do is offer many options. So I don't care what you do for exercise. I want it to be something that you enjoy, something that you'll do because if you enjoy it. We don't tell you what diet to be on. We tell you these basic principles that need to be there for every diet. Sleep, stress control. I don't care what you use for stress control. What we need to do is generate theta brain waves. There's many ways to do that. So we're here to help you go through this process to build a system that works for you, your morals, your ethics, your lifestyle, your age, all these different things. You need to build a system that works specifically for you. And that's what's important. And that's what functional medicine is about. Functional medicine is about helping you become the ultimate version of you that has health. And the biggest thing is quality of life. If you've got all the money in the world and you have no quality of life and no health, what do you spend all your money on? Trying to get your health back. Functional medicine has kind of created a little niche in the market where we have become the quality of life doctors. The medical world is wonderful. It works very, very good for emergency room stuff, things like this. It's wonderful. I don't want to live in a world without it. I always tell people, if I get run over by a truck today, don't take me to a functional medicine doctor. I want to go to the ER. I want those guys to put my bones back together. I want some pain pills. But I don't want to be on the pain pills a year from now. I'm not against pharmaceuticals. I'm against the way we're using pharmaceuticals as the first line of defense against health. That's wrong. I want to have access to those when I need them, when a situation has happened. Same thing with supplements. I don't want to be on 700 supplements every single day. That's crazy. We use supplements to get people back to their organ systems to working the way they're supposed to. But guess what should keep it working there for the rest of your life? Your lifestyle. We didn't need supplements 100 years ago to make things work, right? We had to help more of a healthier lifestyle. And so we need to build a strategy that works in the 21st century for our health and our lifestyle and things like that. So again, thank you for listening to me. Hopefully you have some ideas on some alternative things that have shown to work on viruses and things like this. In the science, there's a lot of science behind this. But we've given you maybe a little bit of a different perspective on the coronavirus. We've also hopefully given you some perspective on what you can do to prepare for the next flu season, the next pandemic that comes down the tubes. So again, thank you.